Pretty typical swing for me at the moment. I'm too far into out and not enough down on the ball. So a little bit too shallow, too sweepy. Watch the arms start to get pulled a little bit more downwards as the chest is still very closed. So not only do I do this myself in my own swing, I have noticed it with a ton of people coming through the door for sessions in the studio. A ton of people coming. First motion down is a lot of this. So the back is really, if anything, staying to the target. We're sort of got this orientation here, and the arms are starting to pull straight down. Now we're here, and we're pretty screwed until we make some kind of a last-minute compensation to try to get the ball reasonably online. Because realistically, from right here, what should happen is I should just be sending it a kilometer left for me. We don't want the arms working independently down excessively, let's just say. It can work a little bit downwards, obviously, but not so much so that the chest and arms are totally out of sync. I have tried myself many different ways to get rid of this pattern and tried many different ways with clients here to work on that pattern, and I have never had more luck than with a very simple drill I saw somewhere, can't tell you where, it must have been on Instagram or something. What I'm holding is just a piece of a shaft cut to 25 inches with a grip on the end. Essentially just putting like an alignment stick or a shaft of a club. I've built myself up a little device here under the trail arm, pointing it somewhat, let's say, straight out from your body or even slightly upwards. And what you want to feel is up to the top of the backswing. At some point, obviously, my trail arm is going to make contact with that shaft. What's happening when I pull down hard is immediately arms are coming off of the shaft. So I have some contact with the shaft here. Pulling down motion, I lose contact with the shaft right away. So the drill basically is, how long can I keep contact with the shaft on my lead forearm? Watch how much that opens the chest up, has the arms and chest working in sequence. The club doesn't get excessively, or more so the hands don't get excessively behind me, because you can get behind you and still steepen the club. These things are working in much better sequence. So the longer I keep it on there, the more the chest is going to open. And obviously, eventually, there's a release of the club, but it's a little bit more natural. So I'm going to hit a couple. The primary focus I'm going to have is just keeping that on there as long as I possibly can. Okay. So not the best contact, but I'm going to show you how much different that is. We were 7 degrees into out before. Now we're 1.8. I was also barely hitting down on the ball before. That rep there was about 4.8 degrees down, which with the 7-iron is a nice place to be. Now, I did hit it quite thin, so the launch and spin aren't perfect, but you get the idea of how the club is moving quite a bit better. You can see somewhere around here in the backswing I get contact with the shaft. You can see that there. Now, how long can I hold it on there? As I start the club down, you can see already those arms are not pulling down now. They are rotating and lowering naturally as my chest starts to open up to the target. The left side, we are sort of a high flippy exit. The right side, we got a nice low body release. So the difference here is the body is releasing the club face. It's not just a hand and arm saving and flipping action right at the bottom. So you can see even on that high-speed footage, I definitely had the shaft coming off about right here. I lost contact with it here. But by that point, keeping it on the shaft for the start of the downswing prevented my arms from doing this. It kept them nice and in front and in sequence with the chest long enough to get to a better spot at impact. Now, when you're pushing yourself to do this drill, you should feel like it stays on there as long as humanly possible. I even try to do it to the point where I feel like it's still on there in the finish. So that allows me to get the angle of attack around 4-ish down, and my path not excessively into out. That one was just a few into out there. And what I'm noticing is that in order to keep that on there, my body actually has to rotate. And the problem with a lot of things that we all work on is we've gotten the instruction to rotate through it better, open up our lower body and chest to the ball. But if my arms are already here, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to sort of tilt back try to save it. If my arms and body and chest are in nice sequence, I actually will naturally, as you can see, start to open to the target and release the club more with body rotation. Pretty good. I'd be happy with that. Subtly better than the one we did before. There's contact with the shaft there. See how long it stays on the lead arm. Still there, and let's see. Yeah, probably around here. I'd say probably around here it starts to come off. But that's pretty good. You can see how much more open my hips are to the target here. And the longer I can feel that shaft stay on there, the more I will be forced to use my chest rotation to actually square the face, the less I can rely on the hands. Because if the hands and arms are staying high and in sequence with the chest, I can't use them to flip. I can only use my body to square the face. You gotta sort of not worry about where the ball goes, which is hard to do. You have to almost think to yourself, okay, my goal is not worrying about hitting a nice straight shot, which is kind of what I was still worried about doing there. It's, can I just make the swing without this shaft ever coming off that forearm? And for me, it often feels that my forearm and hands stay higher for longer. That's an easy thought for me. That keeps it on the shaft a little bit longer. Whatever you feel that can allow you to have that contact stay a bit longer, don't worry about where you hit the ball. Just do a good job of keeping the arm on the shaft. Now, this particular one was a little bit of a pull, which I'm not going to worry about. So when I'm used to pulling my hands down in the first part of transition, I have a lot of excess hand rotation, right? Excess face rotation through this flipping motion because it was necessary for me to square the face up. When it's no longer necessary because the body is rotating well, the hand and the hand's rotation, the flippiness doesn't just go away right away. You may still occasionally have a little bit of that thought in your mind, in the back of your mind, where the hands think they need to flip, where actually now they could really stay super passive because they don't need to be releasing. I still have a little bit of that hand flip in there, which is okay. And you don't necessarily have to hit these full. I mean, I'm probably swinging a little bit longer and faster than I need to for this drill. You really could, just to get the feel for it, be hitting them maybe 50% pace, because then you'll really feel that it's easy to do. And then you can work your way up a little bit quicker. So even for me, that was a much better example already. Much easier for me to actually feel that contact with the shaft when I'm not swinging at 100%. It take about 10 miles an hour off my club head speed there, allowed me to really feel how much that was staying on there. And then later on in the session, sure, you can hit a couple shots without the shaft under your arm and just try to feel what you felt when the shaft was there, almost imagining, okay, how would I keep that shaft in contact with my arm? I had to keep the hands and arms a little higher as I rotated. You can hit a couple shots with the same sensation. It's actually not bad. So it's not quite as good as when I had the shaft on there, but if those were my delivery numbers with the swing, then that would tell me I've done a pretty good job with not pulling the hands down excessively. That's a lot less in to out than it was, and I actually have a little bit of downward angle of attack there.